Hi everyone, it's Tammy. Welcome back. Today I am going to show you how I assemble my little accordion journals. I finished this one and I had a couple of comments about putting the base together. So today I'm going to show you how I do that. But this one is done. And it is 4x4, and that's actually backwards. No, it's not. It's right. So, you can flip through these either way. And the thing I like about making these is you can do all kinds of little pockets and little interactive things that make it more interesting. And you don't have to worry really too much about bulk because it's expandable, you know, to a certain point. You don't want to get too carried away, but you can use a lot of dimensional items, and you'll see I've done that here in this one. And I just went through and got all my little ephemera pieces and just had a fun play with all kinds of different pockets and little tucks. And, you know, there's all kinds of little goodies in here, little knit pieces of scrap that I had in my scrap box. And I made little tags. So it turned out really cute. And so there's an envelope here that opens. And so I want to do another one with a more botanical theme. This flips out. This one's got little pockets that you can put little tickets and labels and whatever you like in there. And I just went through. This is kind of eclectic, but there are photos, which I guess would be the main theme of this one, is the photos. You can do stuff on the bottom if you want. Little pockets. This is a tuck right here. You can't tell it, but it is a tuck that you could tuck something else in if you wanted to. And then you're back at the beginning. So, like I said, and then I just wrap it up with some sari silk to kind of hold it together so it doesn't, you know, come apart, because it doesn't really have a spine per se. So I'm going to show you how I lay these out. Alright, so for this one, what I have is I have this old vintage savings book. It's from the 1950s. And I've taken the covers, I've cut the covers apart and taken the insides out. And this is going to be my front and my back. And then I cut these papers, which are from this Prima pad here. That doesn't have a name. It's got a number, 648015. And it just has botanical kind of prints in it. And I took one sheet of each page except for this blue, because I think this blue, in my opinion, is out of place. I did not use this one. but I don't feel like it fits in with the rest. So I've taken my sheets out and I've cut them to 4.5 inches high because that's what my book is. I did it the exact height because I don't care if it sticks out a little bit. As a matter of fact, I prefer it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make one long piece, and then we're going to fold it up. So that is your first step, is to get all these pieces glued together. And I overlap them probably about 1/2 inch, just so that there is enough to where where you're going to fold is on a crease, it won't pop up. And if it does, you can always fix it, but it makes it a little easier if it doesn't pop up on the seam. So I'm gonna just run a glue line or a glue space. That's more than a line, I guess. About 1/2 inch wide, and lay my papers together and try to keep them just as straight as I can on here. And I'm going to alternate the glue. In other words, like I did this one on top, so I'm going to do this one on the bottom. Does that make sense? Let's make sure this is the one I want. Nope. This is not the one I want next. Actually, I want this one next, I think. Hold on. I want to make sure that I'm getting a solid. Yeah, that is right. Okay. I want to make sure I'm getting a solid in a print and a solid in a print, you know, a pattern on these, so that I don't have all the solids together or all the prints together. Alright, so this one will go on top. And I'm just kind of using my board to figure out where, you know, a 1/2 inch is, thereabouts. Okay, and then this one will go underneath. Okay, and let's make sure on this side our seams are glued down pretty well. Alright, so I'm going to start with these, and if I end up, when I make my folds for the, that I need another sheet, then we'll add something. Okay, so this is going to be kind of hard to get all the way on camera, so bear with me through this part until we get it folded up a little bit. Alright, so for your cover, you want your cover to open up. So if I glue this here, my first fold is going to be to the inside, because this is going to be glued to the cover and it will open this way. Does that make sense? And I'm going to round these corners because my book has rounded corners. Okay. I'll keep that handy because we'll need that when we get to the end. And then my first, like I said, my first fold is going to be in, and it is going to be the width of my cover. And I don't mind that it sticks out the back a little bit. But if you want it to be exact, then by all means make yours, you know how you want it. Now you can use the scoreboard and score this if you want, but I usually just fold it and then kind of smush down my folds. And then we're going to go back and forth until we get to the end. And just try to keep our folds just as straight as we can. Now, you want to use a strong paper for this, but you don't want to use something that's going to crack. And you also don't want to use something that's too thin because it won't be sturdy enough to handle once you put all your ephemera and everything in it. The pages will be too floppy. Like I said, try to keep this as thin or as straight as you can. See, this one is going to be right at that seam, so it's going to be a toughie. This is where a scoreboard would probably be a better bet. But we're just going to work with it. And then we'll do some gluing if we have to. Alright, get my little folder here. And you're just going to continue to go back and forth until you have the whole thing folded. Okay, now when you come to the end, you kind of want to check your covers. Like, for example, if that's going to go on there, and it's going to flip this way, and here, and here, and here, and here. So I want to cut this piece off so that my back cover will go on like this. Actually, like this. Is that right? Yes. or do I want it like this? Because that's going to match up to the front. Even though it will keep going this way, when I look at it this way, like rounded corners will go together. So yeah. Alright, so just going to fold that back, and then I'm going to cut off this piece a little straighter than that. Okay, so this is what we have. So what we want to try and do is round each of these corners. Now, obviously, you wouldn't do that if your cover doesn't have rounded edges, or you're just using scrapbook scrapbook paper for the covers like I did on the first one. You wouldn't have to do this. I just thought it would be cute to do since I had that little book cover, to put a real book cover on it. Okay, so there's our little book. Now let's address our seams and make sure they're okay. So that one is good. This is the one that is right on the corner, and I don't know that we're going to be able to do much else to this one because it is right on the edge. We might put some washi on that one. I'm going to smoosh it back out. Let's see if I can get just a little bit more glue there. So how is everyone? I hope everyone is doing well. I have been working on a big journal, and like I said when I showed my little book the other day, this is kind of a brain rest little project. When I get tired of working on, you know, a bigger journal. Sometimes when I'm making a bigger journal, I have to take a rest from what I'm doing because I feel like, not that I don't know what the plan is, but I feel like that I don't give it my full attention if I've been working on the same thing for, you know, hours upon hours. So I like to give myself a little rest every once in a while and do a smaller project in between. Alright, so I think that's going to be good enough because that seam is going to be covered up pretty much anyway. once I start doing the pages. So, all right. So there is our little book. So let's put on our covers so we can see what the whole thing is going to look like. So here's our front, and it'll glue on here. And you want to allow enough on the outside edge that it's going to flip open okay. So we'll put glue on that. Yeah, if you ever see these little books like this in an antique shop or, you know, at a thrift store or some kind of sale or whatever, pick them up because they're usually not very expensive. The insides are great, of course, because they have all kinds of numbers and stuff in them. And they're great for little projects like this. Alright, see, I left that exposed just ever so slightly. Making a mess with my glue. And again, just, you know, keep smushing those down until you feel like you get a good flat crease. And if when you're folding it and you do get, you know, a crease you don't like or a seam that you don't like, you can always take that piece of paper off and, you know, put your seam in a different spot or, you know, make an adjustment. But once you grunge it up a little bit, see, I don't want it that way. I want it this way. Once you grunge it up a little bit, I wonder if I could round. I'm going to try to round these corners. See if my crocodile will handle that. That will take care of my situation if it will. It did it. These crocodiles are amazing. Alright, now I don't have to worry about it. Because now all four of my corners are rounded. Okay, so let's glue that one on. Oh, I hate that I'm going to lose the birds. But we can always use that paper somewhere else, right? Because it's not going to... If I'd have thought about that, I'd have put that paper the other way so that the birds would be what is showing. Alright, so let's glue this one on. And as you can see, it's also better to use double-sided paper because that way you have a pattern on both sides. Okay, now I've confused myself. Goes this way, Jamie. Right? Yes. Don't do what I almost just did. Okay, I got glue on that. Which I'm going to probably end up putting something on there anyway, but let's clean it up. Okay. I'm thinking I need to now round these corners. All right. So let's round those corners. I'm using the 1/2 inch to do that. And let's do these as well. Oops, I didn't get that one in there good. And one more. Alright, now let's do these. Little glue things off. Okay, so there we go. We have our little book. So put my pen in my glue real quick here for it. Stuff's all wet. So we can flip through this way. And we can flip through this way. And start all over again. So yeah, very cute. The seam really doesn't bother me because I'm going to wrap this up a lot anyway. So we're good and flat right now, which is good. So let's go through now. This is all the tedious part that's not very exciting. Let's go through and ink everything. And I'm going to use vintage photo, I think. Let's see what that looks like on this paper. And this is just going to bring in the, you know, more vintagey look. Yeah, I like that on that paper. It gives it just enough. And let's take our paper distresser and just very lightly, where is my paper distresser? You don't want to do this too rough because you're going to tear your seams up. And you want to make sure they're not going to come apart. But let's beat it up just a little bit. You can go down these little creases if you want. That one I don't have to do anything to because it's already kind of rough where that seam is. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not worried about it because we allowed, you know, 1/2 inch there. And so I know there's still enough there to hold the paper so it doesn't come apart. So I'm not worried about it coming apart at all. I love this black paper. This is a really cute little paper pad. And you don't find a lot of kind of botanical papers that have small prints. You know, most of them have big, large prints. And so that was why I picked this one up, because it has the smaller prints to it. And it fits better to junk journaling, I think, than, you know, big whole page prints like you would get on like a 12 by 12 or whatever, to use in journals. I don't buy a lot of scrapbook paper anymore, but if I do run across something, you know, that I really like the pattern on, or I think will bring some nice color to a journal, I will pick it up. But for the most part, you know, I'm using book pages or digitals or, you know, something like that. I'm going to fold this one back the other way so I can get something on that crease. Okay, let's see this one. All right, so there we are. We have everything inked up and started. So I think missed this one. My next process would be to decide, you know, what ephemera that I'm going to use, and go through and get all that kind of collected and put it in, you know, one of my little baskets, project baskets, so that it's handy. And obviously for this one, I'm going to be looking for birds and butterflies and flowers and that kind of thing. Might use some photos, depending on if I want to go kind of the, you know, like if I want to do field, like a field journal kind of thing. You know that this is somebody's field journal, which will be pretty cute, actually. So I might do like a little ID or something in the front. Trying to rough that seam up a little bit so you can see some color there. Because, yeah, that could be somebody's little pocket field notebook, couldn't it? Alright, I think I got it all. Now, when you're putting this together, the pages that have a seam, that's your opportunity to put a pocket, or to put a, like for example, if I wanted to put a pocket right there, you know, a tuck or whatever, then I could cover that seam line and make it look like it's more intentional. You know, most of these look okay, but I saw one over here, like this right here. This one right here, this is way too drastic. And so this is where I would put, you know, a pocket or something like that to make it look more intentional than just this seam here. Same here. You know, that looks better to me than that. So keep that in mind. I could put the birds on here. That one may need a little bit of glue, but I'll go through and, you know, catch all those kind of places. See, I could flip this one over and put the birds there as a little pocket or a tuck. And that would look really cute. And then that's it. You just go through. The rest is just decorating. Again, if you're going to do things that stick out and overhang, then you want to make sure that you're doing it more to the top and bottom, more here and here than here. Now, you can on the front and the back do something that hangs over the edge. But if you try to hang something over the edge, like if I put something here, it's fine flipping this way. But when you get to the other side, see, you're going to be flipping against that. So you don't want as much on the sides. But hang, you know, by all means, hang things from the top and the bottom, because that's what makes it interesting. You know, all these little sticky out bits and the strings and the ribbons and the all that kind of stuff. So, you know, at some point, I may take this page and I may make a pocket that sticks off down here, you know, and then, you know, it's going to be longer than the book. And on the back side, when you get around to the back side, you're going to have this, and that would create, sorry, I'll just show you what I mean. Like here. Okay, if you look, I put this U.S. airmail in this little arrow down here because when I did this on the other side, I hung it off the bottom. So that little part was exposed. The same for this one. That little factory 896 that shows on this side is because on the other side, this 45-cent label and this little tag behind is hanging off the bottom. You can also do pockets like I did on this one, where you have actually tags coming out the bottom instead of the top. Okay, this one has a tag that comes out the side, but it has a fabric tab on it, so it's not interfering. And then it has one that comes out the top as well. So I hope all that makes sense. Now I got my book all squandered. There you go. And be sure and decorate your front and your back, because your back becomes your front when you flip it the other way. All right. So that's my advice for today. I'm by no means an expert on this. This is just how I do it. So I hope that helps you put your book together. And I would love to see what you do if you decide to make one of these. I think if you do, you'll become addicted, and this will be your little go-to quick projects. You know, I put this one together mostly yesterday after I started it, you know, in the other video, but I pretty much wrapped it up yesterday in a few hours. So, the most time-consuming thing on this, of course, is gluing all the little pieces down and deciding your page layouts once you have your little book made, because it doesn't take any time, you saw, to make the book. That is, you know, that process goes fairly quickly, but it's putting all the little pockets and tucks and tags and that kind of thing in there. So have fun with it, and again, you know, send me what you're doing. I'd love to see how yours comes out. And it's a great scrap buster. If you've got a lot of scrapbook scraps, you can see it doesn't take very much paper to do one of these. And you don't have to put a lot of pages in it. You know, this one could have been a couple more pages, probably. But I think I'm going to like the size, because once it's done, you know, it's going to be, you know, probably an inch to an inch and a half thick, which, you know, be a nice size. It'd be about like that, I would say. So that's it. I hope you liked it. And like I said, keep an eye out for these little books. You can always find a use for them. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your weekend. And I will see you guys back on Tuesday. Bye.